Dear Venerable Bhante, Venerable sisters and brothers, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to take time for the day's talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Yato nidanang bhikkhu purisang papancha sanya sankha samudacharanti. Etta che natti abhidandi tabbang abhivadi tabbang ajjose tabbang ti. Dear Bhante, sisters and brothers, my friends, our main topic for this series is feelings, and that is because Venerable Sariputta in the Dasuttara Sutta, he recommend meditators, specifically whenever we go for full-time meditation, so to say residential retreat or becoming a bhikkhu, or the meditation, he or she must thoroughly understand feelings. In Pali it is called Vedana, and little further, Venerable Sariputta is telling, there are 3 kinds of Vedana. So far, along this series of Dhamma talk, we try to understand the Vedana separate from materiality. We try to understand Vedana as mentality or non-material thing, how to discriminate. For that kind of clear comprehension or discrete understanding, delimitation, you need mindfulness. So, we start as far as the mindfulness is concerned, start with matter and take one part or one particle and try to isolate it from the other materiality and try to be thorough with its characteristics, shapes, manners, and be immediate with that particular materiality, and then we are developing our understanding, thorough understanding of the materiality, as well as we facilitate mindfulness. With that kind of background, we become qualified to see immaterial parts. It's in Pali we call nama or immaterial. Whenever you are getting the access to the immaterial part, the first and foremost thing is the feeling. So there you apply the already earned mindfulness to discern the difference between mentality and materiality. And since we have already gained grounds for this materiality, in this operation, if there are any doubts to arise, perplexity to arise, you can come back to your primary object and verify it. And then, whenever mindfulness gives green light, you go to the mentality, immaterial part, starting from feeling. And whenever feelings come into being, you have to understand, whenever we are relating our experience to the senses, sense-based knowledge, there's a specific time where the feelings arises. It is a universal law, mind law. So each and every one of us cannot discern it and understand it unless otherwise we have a fair theoretical knowledge, book knowledge, or by listening to Buddha. The Buddha, with his first-hand experience, he explained not of course in this particular sutta, not basically in the Satipatthana Sutta also, in other suttas, how feeling come into being as far as the sense-based experience is concerned. It is called Indriya Baddha Jnana, Indriya Baddha Vijnana. And that is very famous in this analysis of the mind and mental factors. So yesterday we took time with the basic understanding of the basic starting balance of the mindfulness and understanding of the materiality, or take the materiality as the pivotal point or your primary object. How can we master, how can we proceed towards feeling? So today I am going to take it further in this endeavorance with the mindfulness and the materiality as the backdrop. Whenever we go and understand feelings, how much it is helpful for someone to sharpen one's own already earned mindfulness and get more qualitative understanding about the mind and the mental concomitants, and at the society at large, how much it is helpful for us to understand correct livelihood, or correct speech, or correct activities. So therefore, from the basic knowledge we gain, from the basic theoretical knowledge and the practical support we gain so far, I quoted one of the sayings of the Buddha, how to deal with, first in the sitting meditation, just like a lab, within a laboratory, and then put into the field trial, and then expand it to the national level. That is what we do in our agriculture. First do experimenting in lab, under the best conditions. And then we put into the research field to see how much it is possible in the normal, natural, outdoor atmosphere. Once that is being proven, then we give it to the field at the farmer's level. And we know verily as agriculturists, there are yield gaps. The highest yield you can gain in the lab under the control situation, that we can't expect at the field trials. And at the field trials also, we are not limiting labor, we are not limiting water, we are not limiting fertilizer, we give the maximum. Once that is proven, we give it to the farmer. The farmer has to consider economical aspects, so there is another yield gap. So likewise, in meditation also, when you are in sitting, that we say the maximum conducive conditions, under that we try to understand the mental factor called feeling. How does it work in our sitting meditation? How far we can develop the model up to the walking meditation and the day-to-day activities within the retreat atmosphere. Once that is being thorough, we can't expect that kind of clarity and spirit in when we go back home. There the situation is much challenging. And when you are going to the supermarket, when you are going to the office place, when you are traveling in the bus, so outside, still challenging. So each and every time, the quality may reduce, but the quantity-wise, practical, pragmatic side may increase. So it is yet to experience. So in this particular, the quotation, the Buddha says, Yato nidanam vikhu purisang papancha sanya sankha samudacharanti tatta che natti abhinaditabbang abhivaditabbang ajyose tabbang. It says, whenever you have that inner chatter in meditation, yesterday we took specifically in the walking meditation, whenever mental proliferation happens, whenever daydreaming, fantasizing, everything happen, don't take delight of it. Na abhinanditabba. Don't assert it, don't talk it to someone, tell it to someone, so that it will get furtherance, it will get further fertilizer and food. Na ajjositabbam, don't cling into it, don't enter into that. So this is the technical part you find in the Madhupindika Sutta. So I would like to expand further the same example we took yesterday. While we are walking in the walking path in the middle area, we may be fairly skillful to keep the leg movements and feel the soul, and whereby we call it, our consciousness is with the sensitivity of the skin or sensitivity of the body. So where we feel, how we feel the heel, the arch and the toes of the left leg, and how we change it to the right leg without distracting the mindfulness. You take the touch of the left leg to the right leg, and then again to the left leg and the right leg, whereby we call our mindfulness is intact, but the object is changing. Left leg is gives rise to the right leg is again come back to the left leg, like a relay race. Without dropping the baton, we keep the lead. So this is possible, or this is somewhat easy when you do in the middle area of your walking path. We took an example, what will happen when we are turning. When we are turning, our posture, the balance or rhythm changes. Instead of direct walking up and down, pacing up and down, now we are turning. When you are turning, there are more chances for you to see things through the eye and to hear things and feel the other parts of the body, or maybe some thinking. That kind of thing can happen. Yeah, I am taking this as an example. And to go to more detail or more parallel with the theoretical sayings in the canon, we can say, suppose we see something while doing walking meditation, while we are turning, and due to our past trial and error, due to our already accumulated qualities, we can note, now my mind, now my consciousness, my touch is no more with the leg, but it is something visual object, the sensitivity of the eye, and the consciousness is eye consciousness. The strike element is the visual object, the base element is the eye consciousness, and the spark of hitting two together is the seeing operation. To that to happen, the consciousness must leave the leg sensitivity aside and go and plug into eye sensitivity. When that happens, the strike element, the color or the shape of the matter come and strike upon the sensitivity of your eye. And then you become a seer. That means no more you can feel the leg. Your object at that time is not the walking meditation, and you become a seer. Imagine you now know this shift of the channel from the leg skin sensitivity to the eye sensitivity. This is a great achievement, I know, but I take it as an example. Whenever that happens, you know you are not mindful with your primary object, even though you come to for walking meditation, now you become a seer, and there you can verify the sensitive base change from the skin sensitivity to the eye sensitivity. Earlier, the touch of the ground, touch of the hardness, stiffness, tension, cold kind of thing stimulate your skin sensitivity, but the eye cannot take them. I can only take light trace or color or shape. So each and every sensitive base has its own corresponding due strike element. We have six sensitive bases we call institutes: eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose, tongue, body and the mind. The eye sensitivity always get aligned with light perception, visual objects. The visual objects cannot stimulate your ear sensitivity, nose, tongue, body, mind, anything. Only the eye sensitivity. And whenever the ear sensitivity come into being, theoretically, only the sound waves come and strike. Sound waves can't stimulate your eye sensitivity, nor the nose, nor the balance. It is only the ear sensitivity. Likewise, this changing from the base as well as the strike element, base element, strike element, if you are sharp enough, even if it is a mishap, even if it is a slip of your mind, you can be aware. So that is very, very important to understand the furtherance of the explanation. Not that everyone can understand and discern and verify it, but mostly what happens is you get regrettable, you get upset, you one panic thinking that your mindfulness go on astray, bewildered, and therefore this regret, this disappointment is disturbing your stream of consciousness. And this talking today, listening today is to not to get disturbed like that, not to get depressed like that, but to be vigilant and diligent. Without my consent, some or the other, the consciousness took the body sensitivity, from the body sensitivity to the eye sensitivity. Whenever it happens, if you know, just wait. Just understand that is also a part and parcel of your mindfulness. Mindfulness indicate you indicate something wrong somewhere. Without getting disturbed, without getting depressed, without complaining outside, if you can understand, now I am no more with the touch of the leg, but I am on eye, and if the mind is balanced, if you have the choiceless awareness, you have equal chance to come back to your walking path, come back to the skin sensitivity. So now feelings play a very big role. Feeling decide which one is more prolific, which one is more juicy, which one is more desirable, which one is helpful for you to the inner chatter. And in that sense, theoretically, the newly appeared great crashing, the visual object is more prolific, juicy, sappy, and with inner chatter than your primary object. So this is the part you have to understand. This is not your mistake or your quality. This is universal quality. It's the mind, universal quality of the mind. You have no rights to be depressed, to regret. If you get regret, you will be blurring, mystifying the situation, bewildering your mind. So the Buddha, as well as Venerable Sariputta directly, he says, main thing is not to worry. Just understand now my feelings are playing kind of a undercut, a game where I pull the consciousness more towards the prolific thing, more towards the juicy thing, and that is the point Buddha says, na abhinanditabbang, na abhivaditabbang, na ajjose tabbang. Don't get delighted. Don't get talk about and assert it. And don't get into it or get inclined into that. Or enter into that content of the juicy nature. So yesterday also I reminded, this is not moral restraint. This is rather wisdom restraint. You have two options. If you are alert, if you are diligent, if you are vigilant, if you are well versed in theory, and if you have enough mistakes done earlier, correct or wrong, now you know two options are there. This is the distraction, or this is a secondary object, and my primary object is the leg, whereby I can feel the touch, and it is very pale, it is very neutral, it is with least amount of defilements, it is with least amount of mental proliferation, talkativeness. And this one is more towards the inner chatter, or feel like talking with others, or feel like entering into that and entertaining. So if someone can be aware without rushing and understand this, there also mindfulness is working. But without a regret, without hatred, you just know this happened. This is not something I have done. This is something happened. But main thing is not to worry. And there you can understand now, discern, this is the defilement, this is the object with defilement and more prolific and more juicy, and this is the alternative, or this is my at-home basis, the walking path, and how can I secure my mind, rescue my mind from this vulnerable situation to secure place, or less talkative place, less inner chatter. For that, you have to don't let feeling to lead to tanha, ask feeling to lead into panya, under your very nose. Knowing that feeling is the cursor, and it can lead into tanha, whereby you can go to that secondary object distracted, in this case, the visual object. Instead, what about going back to your secure place, your oasis, your undistracted place, that your primary object, and whenever it is going there, you can see you have a upper hand if you go prepared. That preparedness is what we call vigilance, the diligence. And that preparedness is not depending upon anything outside, only by your ignorance and your desire. If you can replace the ignorance by the wisdom, or if you can replace by the desire to the outside object, and even though it is boring, even though it is monotonous, even though it is neutral, if you come back to the primary object, that indicates the skillfulness. And the Buddha, he says that return journey from the defiled object to the non-undefiled object, there are 4 stages. It appears in the monastic rules as well as in the Vinaya Pitaka. First, you have to remember you are no more with your primary object. That very mindfulness, that very awareness is very, very radical. It is not a conventional kind of mindfulness. It is not a linear kind of mindfulness. It is while you are in a wrong place, you know you are in a wrong place. That understanding is your rescue. And knowing that, you have to understand, as far as you are with this visual object, which is very sappy, very attractive, magnetizing, and it is leading to more and more inner chatter, and leading to more and more for the distraction. But instead, you have your primary object, is always welcoming you. It is not so prolific. It is not so sappy. It is not so juicy, but it is secure. Protection. So if you protect the Dhamma, Dhamma will protect you. You can come back and there you know you are having a kind of under very nose, red-handed kind of knowledge or practicality or wisdom. Whenever two options are given, which one mind select when it is unmindful, which one is suitable by being mindful, and that option we have never tested in our life so far. So we are not using that faculty in our mind. And instead we feel regret and depressed, panic, and we morally become depressed. But the day you can understand and bring the mind safely and land it back on your primary object, you are going beyond morality and you go to the wisdom restraint and you find there is nothing blocking you. There is nothing to block you. That I call the human right. That is our human right. It's our birthright. We are never being used. We are blaming the thing we have seen. We are blaming that our mind would have, I would have thought to go there, or maybe volitional activity, many things. So Buddha categorically says, this is the bankrupt mind. It's the depressed mind. Instead, the Buddha gives the license. Please come back to your primary object. And this understanding, at the beginning, happening in like lightning in the darkness, quickly you can see a snap observation, and again you go back to the darkness maybe. But when and where you are facilitating it, when and where you go prepared for that, you are waiting that to happen. What to happen? Mishap to happen. The unmindfulness to happen. Distraction to happen. A danger to happen. A suffering to happen. Defilement to happen. And how can I rescue my mind from that uncertain situation to the primary object? And the Buddha says that will never be reinforced. Your knowledge never be galvanized unless otherwise report that to another person. By reporting only, desana only, you galvanize it. So that is why the discussions are very important. The day yogi can explain, while I am walking or while I am sitting, I hear a sound, and I knew I am no more mindful with the primary object, but I am not distracted. I know where I am, and then when I come back, there is no impediment, distraction. When I come back to walking, the walking is very happy to welcome me, and I can start from the point where I dropped it. In between part, which was beyond my control, no more distracting me, because I know I properly safely landed back into the primary object, and I started walking meditation. And if you, these 4 stages, if you can report, 50% of your meditation, 50% of your hard task is finished. So, you know, it took 4 days for us to come up to this level, to understand theoretically. And one day we may hit the bullseye by shooting. And then the next day you will feel like writing. And when you are writing, you become a risk lover. You become a lover of uncertain things. And because you want to check it, not by book knowledge, not by inferential knowledge, but by your direct application. And when that happens, you see this knowledge never taught in the universities, never in the classrooms. Our parents never teach us. So therefore, the newcomer hardly blamable. It is unfair to find fault with the yogi. Pandita Sayadaw put it in a very, very sympathetic, very, very aesthetic and very, very feelingful way. He says if the yogi is not doing and not reporting, 100% mistake is up to the teacher than the yogi. So that can happen, that teaching can happen dramatically in interviews, in discussions. So therefore, main thing is to have that rescue operation. You have to report in as and when it happens without adding additives. Without your interpretation, you have to just report. My mind distracted by sound or thought or visual object, and there I regret, or without regret I knew that I am no more with the primary object, I am not in the secure domain, I was outside, and knowing that I try to came back, I successful or not. If I am successful, when I come back, how can you verify you came back to your primary object? That very verification is, the Buddha says, don't take time. Akalika. Then and there you can understand I am back at safe land and I am with the left leg or right leg. So I will give a very nice example the Buddha given. In Sakunaggi Sutta, one day a bird, after hatching eggs, asked the young ones, don't go into expose into the outside, just wait till I bring something to eat you. And it was a newly plowed land, and the secure area was under a clod of soil. Asked them to just wait there, don't go expose yourself. But there is one kind of a radical young bird in this nestle. I feel like going up to the top of the clog and wait and feel the sunlight. So it's going against the mother's instruction and go and dance on top of the clog. And then a bird catcher, a hawk, come and catch the fellow and like an arrow shooting up into the air. And the bird has nowhere. And it is telling to himself, it is my mistake. Had I listened to my mother, I wouldn't have gone into this danger. Therefore, I can't find blame with anyone. This is my mistake, and talking. And the hawk is asking that bird, the prey, what are you talking about? He says, no, nothing, I am not finding fault with you. Had I been in my place, I can give a match to you. But I was in the wrong place, that is why I caught up into your claws and I am blamable. Then the hawk says, you think you have such a secure place that can give a match to me, fight to me? If it is, I am going to release you. Go and wait wherever you may be, I can catch you. And thinking this way, release the bird. Release the small bird. And the small bird quickly come back to the newly harrowed land under the clock and just wait. And it knows now got a second chance. And after a while, that bloody fellow wanted to climb again on top of the clock and just to see the sun and wait. He knows the hawk is, the falcon is very, very powerful, but anyway it wants to get a chance. And when he climb and dance, immediately he feel the incoming sound of the hawk, or will maybe a falcon. Knowing that it just climb down and hide inside the clock. And then the bird coming, the hawk coming in such a speed and hit against the clock of the soil and die. And that's the point. The bird, small bird, the weak bird, knowing the danger, even if it is going to take the second chance, the risky chance, it is so vigilant, so diligent, so prepared, and happily knows the safe land. And at the danger in the developing, momenting, gathering the momentum, creep under the clog. That's it. So that is what the wisdom development or wisdom training is. So when and where you walk, I'm coming back to the same example, walking and you know, I can manage with the left leg, left leg, right leg. And you have to expect at any time, the mind may run from the safe land to something visual, something hearing, something thinking, and you have no control. It is ungovernable. Even then, even if it has taken a visual object, and then if you know, I am in the unsafe land, and the hawk can come at any time, or falcon can come any time and catch you. So whenever that it is oncoming, if you can go back to your primary object, safe land, all the mistakes you have done, any defilements supposed to arise, everything becomes null and void. This is the point in this very life, we are learning the art of making defilements null and void. Many people think that can happen only after the death. So the very first day you take refuge of your primary object, that is such a vulnerable situation, you feel your past mistakes. You know the value of your the mindfulness. You know the value of your diligence. And you know how much lucky that you have a safe land. You have already appointed assembly ground. And your pivotal point. And your primary object. So when and where such fire happens or mishap happens, if you know how to come back there, the primary object is ever ready to accept you. That is the beauty. The mindfulness and the primary object, what we are appointing, must have these qualities. Whenever we are walking, the touch sensation of your soul is ever happening. So whenever mind run away, don't worry, don't complain about running away. Then it is leading to proliferation, inner chatter, finding fault with others, hatred, appointing others have a soul. You have a soul. Other people are much powerful than you, like inferiority. Instead, if you are thinking how to recover it, come back to the primary object, you have all the capacity, all the potential, and all the possibilities. Possibility-wise, the potential-wise, we all are the same. So that's why I call it our human right. It is our birthright. We are so inferior. The outside society put ourselves into such an inferior situation, we always find fault with others. We find we are innocent and we are very weak and we are very poor. Other people are controlling. And that is the way the politicians are going to trap you. But if you know Dhamma is the protection, as far as you are protecting your primary object, the primary object will protect you. So in the early part of this learning, how the feeling leads to desire in an undisciplined, uninstructed mind, and when the yogi with the discipline and the instructed mind, how can lead feeling into knowledge instead of default desire. So here the Buddha's example, the technical instruction is, whenever there is the chances for proliferation, inner chatter, don't get delight. Don't get inclined into that. Don't talk about. Imagine that this is happening within you. And if you go and talk it with your wife, and talk it with your another fellow meditator, now both become talkative. And the retreat organizer will come and back you. Get out and you are no more a yogi. This all unwanted thing happens because you feel like talking about these wrong things. Talking about wrong thing is leading to more and more defilements. Instead, think about how to recover, how to come back to your already appointed, neutral, verifiable object. And this verification after coming back, only the master can do, help and share with you. So you have to give a clear report. The first stage is called sarati. Even if you are landed in a wrong place, you know you are landed in the wrong place. Second thing is vivarati. Clearly you understand this area is safe. Now the place now I am in, accidentally I came into the vulnerable area. Very juicy, very sappy, storytelling, fabrication, keep on happening. And then the third stage called uttani karoti. You can understand, even though it is juicy, even though it is sappy, even though it's desirable, I have my human rights to go back to my primary object. It is neutral. It's not so juicy, sappy. And that understanding, at that time, your whole brain is working. Not your desirable, not your habitual brain. Not your likings and disliking, not your karmic forces, not your personality traits. Your whole brain is working and it is finding way back from the wrong place to the correct place, and that will be reinforced by reporting. So, very difficult to teach this part at the beginning of the retreat. Because you don't have enough mindfulness maybe, you don't have enough experience, and you have to understand while meditating this disturbing mind, wandering mind, daydreaming, fantasizing is not your mistake. It is anyone's mistake, it's a human mind. Till that you take it as your mistake, this answer will never work. You will never even report. So wait till you report about sound distraction, pain distractions, thought distraction, visual objects, past memories, future planning, all come under the same category. And not only that, whenever you are reporting, whenever you are bookkeeping, you can understand, even though we are all are sitting in the same place, some people get distracted by sounds. Not all. Some people are getting distracted by thoughts. Not everyone. Some people are getting distracted by pain. Not everyone. So we select our distraction. That is our personality trait. That's very diagnostic. And you have to be third person to keep long time bookkeeping. Then only you can understand. Whenever so much of distractions are there, I select my specific distraction and then start talking, storytelling, fabricating, and with hate, and find outside agent. So very easy to find the omnipotent, omnipresent God outside to take responsibilities. Or some mystics. So a lot of teachers are there to attribute this into a omnipresent, omnipotent one. Or mystics. Or kind of lullabying. Or kind of escapism. Do escapism, no problem. But will not going to give a permanent answer. And while you are doing this kind of thing amidst of all the mystics and escapism, the day you strike, hit on the point, you can understand only the Buddha can come into, in the living way, in the Dhammajiva living way, and give a lasting answer. Pandita Sayadaw, he put it in this way as an equation. If the mind is mindful before the distraction, and if the mind is mindful even after the distraction, distraction creates no disturbances, no turmoil, no defilement. So don't talk about the distraction, tell something before the distraction. Were you in the primary object? Yes. How do you know? You have to write in the report. And then you have to clearly indicate the distraction. It's a sound, it's a pain, it's a thought, whatever it may be. And you have to report it without regret, without accusative or accusation kind of thing. And what is the journey from distraction to the primary object? And when you come back to the primary object, you verify it. Did you verify it? And if it is so, how it happens? So before the distraction and after the distraction, verification indicates you are a meditator or you are fantasizing. And whether it is verifiable or not, when according to your report, the verification, even a small child can understand. That's the point where innocence comes into being. The simplicity comes into being. The honesty comes into being. Otherwise, our mind is so cheating, so perverted. We try to whitewash our activities from the moralistic point of view. It's incurable disease. Because we are born with certain amount of morality, it is a must. We have to start with moral restraint. But when the mind is uplifted from the moral base to the meditation, mindfulness, vigilance, diligence, you have to understand, don't let the morality become a restraint. Morality become an impediment. And think radically according to this teaching of the Buddha, and the other feelings are very, very important. If I am correct, the Western psychology, specifically the Sigmund Freud, he explained our behavior through pleasure principle. Everyone doing good or bad, justifiable or unjustifiable, to maximize the pleasure. So therefore, the feeling is leading. The Buddha says in the King Ulaka Sutta, Vedana samosarana. Everything come and focus into the Vedana. We try to give pleasure to our children, our parents, our dear and near ones, and to ourselves. Without knowing thoroughly about this Vedana, about this feeling. The feeling can get three adjectives: pleasurable, painful, or neutral. We are not talking about a specific pleasurable feeling, painful feeling, or neutral feeling. We are talking about feeling. For that, you must have basic qualifications. You must have a certain amount of mindfulness. You must have a certain amount of materiality as a subject. And you must have a certain amount of mistakes as experience. And you must have theoretical understanding. And you must have this risk-loving kind of entrepreneurship to put yourself into this situation and don't believe anything. Take your own experience and how nicely or how efficiently or how skillfully you can bring the mind from the distracted point, distracted situation to your primary object, that is called way back home. Don't worry about the going out of the house, going out of the bewilderment, daydreaming, fantasy. It is prolific. When you are going to think, it becomes more leading to the more and more inner chatter. But the Buddha is asking, what about the way back home? Sarati, Vivarati, Uttani Karoti, Deseti, 4 stages. How from the distraction to the present object. I think in Barre, Massachusetts, that Richard Davidson, he started some kind of a similar research when compared to the brain and the nervous system is concerned. He took meditator as well as the normal person as a control and put into the functional MRI scan and asked them to listen, asked them to see the visual thing they are showing inside the machine. And he monitor in the control room the visual faculties in the brain becoming active when you see something. They are being instructed to see it. So as far as you keep on gazing on that visual object, the person monitoring in the control room can say that they understand the instruction, now we see. And immediately give a sound wave. And then it is more attractive. So then you can see how the faculty is changing. The brain areas are changing from seeing to hearing. It's an accident. And once given, monitor how from sound to again the seeing can happen. It's also a nervous system, systematic way. And he managed to see 2 stages. One has to understand, now I am in the wrong place. And remember the instruction, whenever you understand, please come back to your at-home situation, normal situation, and 2 stages. And I think it is in his book, Emotional Life of Your Brain. And that means our brain is well-wired, well-trained, not only to get bewildered, but to come back to your home, way back home. That part is never been taught. That part is never been specialized. That part is never been put into practice. Because we are so busy about the past, the future, other people, other places. Even if you are mindful, thorough, this is happening with so many of stages, one after the other, like chain actions, leading good to better, better to still better. Likewise, it is happening. As far as that improvement, upliftment is concerned, the feelings are playing a very nice role, very interesting role, and you must not be a person with pleasure principle, at least in sitting meditation. You must not chase behind the pleasure principle, at least in walking meditation. You must follow the fanatically on the pleasure principle as far as you are trying to be mindful in day-to-day activities. So that is the most difficult thing in this present-day situation, because all the technologies, all the infrastructure, and everything to increase the pleasure principle. So whenever someone is experimenting on the pleasure principle, he appears like lunatic. He appears like psychological imbalance, and he will put into asylum. So outsiders call meditation centers are asylums. Because all the mad people come here and do all the experimenting. So it will be a mad game if you do not know the path. So the Buddha, with his utmost compassion, given this path, and that is the most neglected part in the Theravada tradition. Sorry to say. For the last 30-40 years, lucky enough, that part is slowly emerging now, because people take chance to understand here now I am, and one's own stream of consciousness, and never worry about the mishaps, never worry about the distractions, and take it as a mental or mind principle or universal principle, and look at it as is someone else. As a scientist looking at an object. So you take your mind in a way, that is why the Buddha says, Vedanasu Vedananupassi viharati. Don't take the Vedana or feeling on the pleasure principle in default. But let it happen, let the mistakes happen, and look at from the new perspective with the theoretical understanding, and then you feel more than the mindfulness on the body, materiality, is vast opening, and ultimately you can feel the other person's feeling. So all of them are working in the same circuit. No difference, no one can change it. So more you become here and now, you appear like selfish. But your mind become develop and resonate into such a subtle vibrations, you can feel others. It says in the Tipitaka, in the canon, with the Buddha going on Pindapata, that means arms rounds, he looked at only 2 meters ahead and is downcast his eyes. But the mind is full vigilant, full diligent. About 4 meters, 4 miles around, his radar machine is working. Just like in the airport. About 30 kilometers, anything coming, the radar machine knows. Likewise, when the Buddha is walking very calm and quite composed, while walking, mind is fully vigilant, so everything he can target, he can see anything happens. But not everything is he see, but if he wish, he can see right now. So therefore, whenever someone going to the forest and do meditation, others say that he is going to become enlightened by himself, it's a selfish like. But if you are learning, if you go deep into the feeling is not selfish, it is universal. Every one of us, whether you are a meditator or not, whether you are a Buddhist or not, whether you are ordained or not, exactly the same. So therefore, if you wish to be human, if you wish to be equal with everyone, just take the feeling whenever it happens. Don't try to discriminate, this is good, this is bad, this is pleasurable, this is painful and neutral, but give a fair chance. And to give that kind of an opening, we will go next day, if possible, to the Chullavedalla Sutta, whereby Sister Dhammajiva is given such a vivid explanation in terms of discussion. So keeping that in our hope, today I am going to sum up the day's talk here. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.